if you could go ahead and count us down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are now meeting. So good afternoon to all of you, almost good evening. I appreciate you being here today for our EDI committee meeting. I know that there is quite a bit going on in the district as we work to open schools, but I appreciate your commitment to this work. I know folks are still entering the meeting, and so we're letting them in as they come. But again, I do respect your time, and I know that each of you are very, very busy. What I'd like to do as people are still coming in is to just review the agenda a little bit. And then we'll give Ms. Estep the opportunity to offer a welcome to the group. And then we'll launch right into our work, if that sounds okay. All right, thank you for the thumbs up. So for today, we do have the welcome from Ms. Estep, but I want to make sure that we give folks enough time to get into the meeting, and then we'll come back to that. We do want to provide a work group update, and I think we've got members of our work group who are going to do that. And then an update on the work related to our website. And I appreciate the folks who have taken on that task. And then we are planning a social opportunity for us to connect between our work group and our EDI committee. So an update on that. And then the goal here is to spend the majority of the time really in our breakout groups. Really just kind of digging down into that work, identifying what our next steps are, and how do we move this work forward. So if that sounds good to everyone, then we'll just accept the agenda. But of course, if we need to make changes, we surely can. But if not, then I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Estep at this time and ask if she would not mind just offering a welcome to the group.
I would not mind at all. Thank you, Dr. Smith. And let me start by saying, sorry for not turning on my my camera, but I am currently outside, and I will tell you this right now. It's really gross, but I'm picking in my mother's backyard, and I look really, really bad. So that's where I am currently, and I'm really, really sweaty. So I'm not going to. I'm going to remain cameraless for now. But I want to say first off to everyone in the district, just a huge, huge thank you to all the work that's being done right now to just get our systems, keep our systems going, to plan for students coming back in whatever pathway we're going to be in. The amount of work that's going on right now is absolutely enormous, and the burden is enormous. And I just want to say, I just want to express my gratitude, because I know I don't know everything that y'all are going through, but I know some of it, because you know, we're getting emails as well, and the questions, and I just appreciate everything that you're doing. It's a lot, and it's more than any of us thought we were going to face. But I just, you know, I recognize and appreciate all that you're doing, and it's great work, and it's not what everybody is seeing in the public, but we on the board really appreciate it. And so again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thanks for coming in every day. It's truly appreciated. So with that, again, I also appreciate y'all being here in spite of all that, because I know how much you are involved with and doing. And to take the time to look at, you know, maybe how this will impact our students of greatest need is also really important. So again, I just appreciate you being here. So with that, I will ask for Dr. Smith to take it back away.
All right. Well, thank you. And we also appreciate how hard the board is working to support us and to provide that leadership and guidance. It is, as you said, very difficult for all of us, our parents included. It is just very uncertain time. So the first thing on our agenda is a work group update. We're starting to kind of standardize around this. I know we did not have a work group meeting since the last time that we met. But we did have our summer series. And so Tyler, if you want to share, or anyone else, Chris, I know you were part of that, and Rachel, but Tyler, if you'll kind of lead that because you put it together for us.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Smith. So yeah, last Thursday we hosted our first what we call C's Summer Equity Enrichment Series, and I felt it was really good. It led to some great discussion. We started with the article "White Privilege: Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack," and it was really, really, really good to hear from our district leaders, educators that are either Black or other people of color, just because it was good to be able to hear their experiences and how white privilege has had an effect on them, and how they've seen it play out either in the district or their personal lives. So, but one of our rules is respect confidentiality. So we'll take the stories, but leave the names. But the stories were really, really good. As far as, well, I wouldn't say good, they were tragic, but they are good for us to learn from. And then secondly, we looked at Ibram Kendi's TED Talk on the difference between being a racist and or not racist and an anti-racist, which was also very enlightening because we will be looking at his book study in the fall. And I just felt like, again, I learned a lot. It's just really good to have that space, to have those open and honest conversations because again, we have all this data, but when you put a personal face to a story, it could be someone you've worked with for 20 years and had no idea that this was their experience. Hopefully that moves the conversation and dialogue along even further. But if anyone else wants to share.
I really agree with what Tyler said. I would refer to it as really compelling. And so if anyone is attending meetings and doubtful that anyone in those meetings need any convincing about this being of the highest priority, I think listening to everyone's experiences, it renews the essence of why this is so compelling. It is every day and it matters for all of our kids. So I just really agree with what Tyler was saying. It's very powerful.
And we have our next segment this Thursday. Is it this?
Next Thursday.
Oh, next Thursday. No, we have our equity work group this Thursday. Knew it was something this Thursday. So we have our next installment of this series next Thursday. And Tyler, you and Caress will be co-hosting, correct?
Caress will be hosting. I'll be co-hosting.
Oh, okay, so Caress, you and Tyler will be. All right, so Chris is hosting, Tyler is co-hosting. Chris, do you want to share just maybe a little bit about what that will be?
Certainly, and I do want to piggyback on everyone else. Tyler's session last week was really great. It's amazing to kind of have those safe spaces and the opportunity to kind of share point of views and get input from other Black educators. We'll say one thing that I really got out of it was learning that we will bringing other Black educators, school level educator teachers to our work group in the coming weeks. So I'm excited to get those voices to join in and to kind of hear more of those stories. Moving and talking about next week's C's session, we will be looking at the first 2 episode series and the YouTube series, Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. So we're excited to kind of go ahead and undertake those, as well as a YouTube video on, is it Black or African American? So kind of looking at the identity and the name of how our people of color coincide with.
And speaking of those additional members, we have invited 3 African-American male educators, and I believe all 3 have accepted. And then we have, I think maybe 2 African-American female educators, and I know at least 1 of the 2 have accepted. So they seem very excited to be a part of the group. So looking forward to that on this Thursday. Thank you all for your comments, and thank you, Tyler, for your update, and thank you, Caress, for your preview of what is to come. I appreciate it. Next, we have our website task force. If we could have just a brief update from you guys.
Okay, so we've met once, and let me exit full screen here and get to my notes. So we discussed kind of the 2 biggest parts that needed to be discussed is content and design. And as far as content, we decided that our landing page really needed to, or we kind of like the idea of tiles. Can I share my screen?
Yes, definitely, please. I'm gonna stop sharing mine.
Okay. I just had open the minimum of it. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're great.
Okay. So this is definitely not like a finished product. It's just kind of a rough draft idea of I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time sharing my screen. It's not
Is it not giving you the option to?
It's giving me an option for a couple of things, but not
So do you see
the whole screen. Like it says whiteboard, and then I think this might work. I'm sorry.
Oh, I think you got it.
Okay. So again, this is just kind of a rough draft idea. I took a screenshot of the top of what's currently there because that stuff would have to stay the same, and aside what's on the left-hand side, I assume that would have to stay the same. So we kind of like the idea of having large tiles with the titles of things that would be at that link. So we discussed that we would have equity training, so information to the public about what our school system trainings are available, what organizations we're kind of going with that training for the ones that, whatever information that we can make available. Another tile would be equity resources. Within that tile, that's when we would get into more specific topics that would be generalized information, but also an option for more age-specific information. One tile for our equity work group, so folks can read about what they're doing, and a tile for our equity committee to say about like who we are, what the work that we're doing, our goals, our progress. Also a tile for the meeting minutes and agenda, and then the last tile would be questions and feedback, and we discussed using a Google form for that, so that anybody who has questions, once they've seen this page or they have feedback, they can leave it there, and we would probably have to have one person from the committee be designated to be the receiver of the questions and feedback, not necessarily the responder, but just somebody who would be monitoring that that communication outlet, and then either take it back to the group or find the answer or be responsible for monitoring that. Some of the other things that were discussed, Lena had a great idea that to use the Google Translation add-on feature so that each page could be translated to any language, because we talked about that it's not just Spanish speaking families or other languages that need translation, and we don't want to be too pigeonholed and say, well, this is information that Spanish speaking people need to have. Because you could have a person that's African American and Hispanic and in the LGBTQ community. So we can't limit just, decide for somebody, this is the information you need to have. So all of the information needs to be accessible to everybody in every language. Additionally, we talked about the ADA compliance. Karis kind of brought us up to date on that. And if we definitely would like to have images, so they would need to be like district-based images that Karis also has, can help us get access to those. So again, this is just kind of a mock-up of what we talked about. It's not necessarily the color scheme or exact way it's going to be. It's just kind of a rough draft of what we talked about.
Well, I definitely like having the equity work group and equity committee next to each other. Essentially, so you can find and reference the work of both really easily that way. And I really do like the simplicity. Sometimes some of our websites can get a little busy. And so you're not able to find what you're looking for. It looks great, but you're not able to find what you're looking for. And this looks good, but you're able to find what you're looking for. So well done.
I also think we should, I was kind of working on it this afternoon, but our statement that we came up with as a committee at the very beginning of this journey, I think we should have here at the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, our mission statement. I think that would be wonderful. Mm-hmm. You guys have done a lot in a short period of time.
I think.
Okay. I would say, when you're ready for kind of like a final vote, preview, launch, let me know ahead of time and we'll schedule that as a big part of the agenda to go through. But you guys have done a tremendous amount of time, work in a very short amount of time.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, I think next on our agenda, we had update from our work group and social committee social. I think that was Frenchon.
Hey, I don't have an update because I don't have any contact information for the other group of people.
Okay. If you will email me who you need the information for, then I will share that with you, okay?
Okay, I just need the information for the other people that's not in this group, so the work group people.
Okay.
I know there's some people that overlap, but I don't know any of them.
Okay, yeah. I will take care of that. So Chair, if you could record that down as a next step, then I will share those emails directly with Frenchon, or you guys can reach out directly to her as well. So if someone's not on the call that was supposed to be there, I can take care of that. But if not, then folks can reach out to you directly. But I will make sure you get those. I appreciate it. And so now where we are our subcommittee breakouts. And so what I wanted to do was just to really reserve a lot of time for this because there's just so much that's going on. And this is where I think we get cut short. And so what I'm going to do is stop sharing my screen and I'm going to go to breakouts. And unfortunately, I don't have all the names. So what I want to do is if you will share with me, if I can remember how to do it, share with me which, let's see, it looks like they're recreate the rooms. I want to do it manually. All right, here we go. So if you will share with me whether you are, and let me rename the rooms. I've learned a lot since our last time. So this is going to be Culture is room 1, and then let's see, academics is room 2. Okay, and then if you will tell me which room you're in. So Al, you are in academics, and Rachel, you're in academics. Julie's not here. Chris, you're in academics. Sean, you're in academics. Please, if I get it wrong, please let me know. There we go. Sean, Julie's not here. Jennifer, academics. Ms. Adams is not here. And then Andy. Anyone that I left off that should be in the academic subgroup? All right, well, I didn't do too bad. Then that means that everybody else, that's academic, so then everybody else goes to, and not sure who Cozy, Cozy W.
That's Kiana.
Okay, yay, that's that's kind of, I thought, but I just wanted to double check. So love it, love it, love it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the rooms, and do we want to set a specific amount of time?
Dr. Smith, the documents that go along with this that we had from last week, is that attached in here somewhere? Just want to make sure I can pull that up.
No, so once you go in, if you go into your documents, then you can share your screen just like you would if you were in the large room.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so so what if we do 45 minutes or a little bit less? 40 minutes? All right, 40 minutes.
Dr. Smith, can I have a question or suggestion? One of the things that I've noticed when we break out is sometimes it's hard to refer to what we did before or which goals we're going to keep when we combined. So if I'm just thinking ahead to the discussion that we're going to have with the work group for the task forces, it might be really helpful if we have all of our goals that we've agreed on, like in a source, so that when we break out into task forces, we know what the goal is. I had made that spreadsheet before, and totally, it's fine if we don't use that, but if we could do something else if we don't want to use that, so that it'd be easy to have that next conversation and be easy for us to reference what we're working towards.
Okay, so would you suggest, Rachel, that folks in the different the different subcommittees update that on that spreadsheet?
That would be my personal preference, but I realize that might not be the way everybody else thinks.
Okay.
I
So
think that would be great too, Dr. Smith, and I did just share that document with you so you can share it with everyone. It won't let me share it.
okay, so what I'll do is once you get in, then I can send you a message, and I will send you the link to the document that Chris just shared. And if you will create a column and put your updates in there, and I guess I was just making the assumption that people were keeping up with it, but yes, if you will, that would be great. Okay, all right, I'm going to open the rooms, and we've got 40 minutes.
Hey.
Hey, Casey. Hey, friend Sean. Hey, Miss Estep.
Hey, Tyler.
Hey. Friend Sean. Friend Sean, you're a whole mood right now because
I am very much a whole mood.
Yeah.
Someone please feel free to take a screenshot and just make it a meme and pass it around.
So I'm going to go click on this message, and then Casey has shared some good stuff. I know she had something she wanted to start off with. Franchon and I have an update. Didn't you?
I want to start with something.
Well, I'll start with something. Didn't you say for the next EDI, I had messaged you back, you'd come up with an idea for some of the affinity group, right? About.
Oh yeah, that last conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, let me go. All right. Well, now I don't know where the message is, but she just said something.
Yeah, I don't think you can access it through that kind of message.
Okay.
But I'll find it real fast. I have it here.
Yeah, and then if you want to do screen sharing, that'll be great. So while we're doing that, Franchon and I have been working with HR, specifically Deb Trafton and Scott Hall. Scott, actually, we used to work together at UNCW, so that's kind of funny because I haven't talked to him in like 10 years. But anyway, he's pulling together some data for us, or they pulled together some data for us, and I share it with Franchon just as far as the data breakdown. And then today, the one thing that we didn't get that we kind of needed, though, is we're trying to get, and Dr. Smith, you might be able to help with this. We're trying to get like a contact list to reach out for our Infinity group for our educators of color and our other black educators, so that we can look at starting that affinity group that Franchon was speaking to.
So did HR not, they weren't able to share that with you, or?
They said, Franchon, that board policy would prohibit them
Okay.
from sharing it. So
here's my problem with that is it's on the website. Like all we're asking for is their emails, their like work emails. So you can literally go on each individual website. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with your own website and get everybody's email address. So that's all we're asking for. I'm not asking for like home addresses.
So what did they say it's against board policy to share?
let me see if I still have the email. I think it's right here in my inbox. I got my phone. So she said our current board policy 6340 does not allow HR to release that information. Oh,
So-
I think Deb just responded back.
Okay.
But yeah, the only thing I asked for, basically I just asked for their names. I didn't even ask for contact information.
So, but essentially you want just the names of African-American or employees of color?
Yeah, and their email address, which is of course
Okay.
is first dot
So-
last name.
So is it that she can't give the email address, or she can give you a list of employees by color, by essentially race?
She didn't specify which part she can't give. She said she couldn't give it.
She did say she will make a request to the interim director of HR to see what the next steps would be appropriate.
Okay, all right. So I'll tell you, if you don't mind, in the words of Dr. Burns, chase that rabbit just a little bit, and then if you hit a wall, let me know,
Okay.
because we might be able to kind of go around that.
Okay.
So just to clarify, I sent an email, and Tyler may have missed it. I just sent an email back earlier today that said, can we construct an email and send it to them? And her response was is that she would put in a request. So that's the part that we're requesting on. We have hit a wall in terms of contact information. I don't want to make a big deal. I've just been on this committee for months and haven't been able to do a single thing. I feel like asking for a list of teachers of color and it's available on the fucking website is just really infuriating me right now. Like, and the information that they gave us was like these long, elaborate reports and like all this information except for names and email addresses, which Tyler wasn't very specific, but I didn't think he needed to be. Like in my opinion, he asked for that and all this other information they gave us. So it's whatever. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Oh, and a reminder, we are streaming live.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'll say is, we have sent out a survey to staff in regards to helping with recruiting and things of that nature. I can make the request if we can't send the same, like if they're not able to share the names of employees per se because of X, Y, and Z, then I can make the request that maybe they can send that, what we want to send to our employees for us, and then they can reach back to us.
Yeah, so that she's already making that request. She's asking. So that was the latest email that literally just got sent a couple minutes ago, that she said she would ask the interim HR director if we can construct an email as a committee, and then they will forward that to people that we want it to be forwarded to. So I guess the next step is to construct that email.
And that was a part of like how I was thinking a workaround might be for whatever that policy is. And you might find more people that way, that whatever documentation the district has, you know, might not necessarily include certain individuals if you're looking for people of color. And the follow-up that Tyler was referencing that I followed up with him about after the last time we met was just taking that same idea, and if we're already going to be sending it out, why not go ahead and make it available for various types of affinity groups? Because I could be a person of color, but maybe that's not exactly the like affinity group I choose to be a part of, but there might be a different one. And, you know, there's all kinds of different categories we could put on there. And I think that's where we really build capacity within people too, because you have people out there who want to say, yes, this is what I've been looking for, and I will help, you know, to lead that. So that's sort of like in addition to or on the side of what you're talking about, Franchon.
Well, and I think you make a really good point. Making it broader. So is your suggestion to wait and see the response we get from this and then take it to the next step, or to do these two things simultaneously?
I'm trying to remember the one that was sent out from HR was sort of a, are you interested in helping to retain educators, right? I'm trying to remember how it was phrased. I don't know that it was as specific.
Well, I mean, my takeaway from it was, would you be interested in being a part of the work in the district to recruit, support, and retain, educators of color within the district? And so in my mind, that was sent to a very specific, very targeted group. And so again, I think, if, trying to create this affinity group for teachers of color, I think that will, again, connect with that specific subgroup of folks. But I guess to your question, broadening it, are you interested in broadening it, like, making an announcement to the district as a whole that we're establishing affinity groups, or would it be that you want to see the response from this one and then that become the next step?
Well, I definitely don't want to slow anything down. I want to be able to, whatever movement we can make with whatever's been inputted on that previous survey. I just dropped it in the chat because I don't see anything in it that specifically outlines in that survey. I don't see anything in there that specifically mentions recruitment and retainment of, I'm trying to look at the top. It's much more broad. It's not specific to educators of color. But to answer your question, Dr. Smith, unless I'm missing something there, then I guess being able to take Franchon's idea and go ahead and unleash it and say, we're looking specifically, we're exploring the idea of having these sort of affinity groups, and if you would be interested, here are some different areas that we would consider, and would you be interested in leading, that kind of thing. I don't know if I'm answering your question. I feel like I'm not.
So there's the question. It says, would you be interested in participating in school or district level human resource initiatives to recruit, retain, serve, and empower diverse, highly qualified employees?
So you're saying that already went out?
That survey did, which is not what you're trying to accomplish. But I think this survey, now I don't know exactly who it went to, but I'm thinking that it went to a select subgroup of folks who I think we are looking to include as a part of this affinity group in terms of educators or employees of color.
I was just thinking, if that survey already went out and those people already self-identified, does that then give us permission to contact them?
I don't know. I'm not familiar just off the top of my head with that policy. But I surely don't have a problem asking that question. But I, I don't even know that. I think they were already identified because I'm assuming to know who to send it to, they would have had some indication. I don't think this went to everybody.
Dr. Smith, it looks like it did. It shows
Oh,
all
you think it went to everybody? Oh, well, then I'm just completely clueless then. I'm sorry.
Casey, is there a date on that it went out?
July
I'm just
6th.
curious. Okay.
So maybe that would be the next.
I mean, it seems like that's a logical step since they've already self-identified and already went out, and it's in a timely manner because that was like 15 days ago.
Yeah, so can you then, okay, well then that changes things. So can you then share the results and the outcomes of the survey? I said, what other ideas?
Because I do feel like that, I mean, it clearly says at the top, equity, diversity, and inclusion and participation survey. That I remember it stemmed from our some discussion in the EDI committee.
Yeah, no, it came directly from there. I guess I was just narrowly thinking that it went to certain people, but thank you for broadening my understanding that it went to everyone. So yeah, so do you, Tyler, want to follow up with that question about having access to the survey results?
Sure.
Do you remember
Casey,
the surveys, Tyler?
that's what I was looking at. And I was like, oh God knows we've had a million surveys. So I'm trying to keep up. Casey, did you say you can identify who sent it?
Trafton.
Deb did? Okay, cool. So yeah, I can easily follow up with that, Franchon, and I'll CC you on well, I'll just use our email thread that we have.
To be honest with you, Tyler, we might consider like pushing it back out one more time before y'all, because like you said, there have been so many, and
yeah, that's why I was sitting here and I couldn't remember it.
It shows up as, how you can send a Google form so it goes straight to, so it's not like an email message and then the survey, it's just like embedded in the email. So
yes.
if people didn't know who she was, they might have like skipped it.
Yeah. Okay, so it's from Deb. Yeah, I'll email her. I appreciate that. That's a good next step, because it's like Franchon said, if we've got that info, then all they gotta do is give it to us, and it seems that they could do that.
All right. Hey guys, I'm gonna tag out and check out the other committee. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Dr.
Can y'all tell me, what policy number that was? Because I was trying to look it up while y'all were talking. Is it 6430?
I think it's 6034. Hold on.
I got it right here. 6340.
6340. Because I was 60. Let me see what it says. 6340. Personnel. Yeah, some of this stuff I think is covered by, it looks like it might be North Carolina general statutes. So it may not be specific to us, but it's personnel related and access to what is considered confidential information under the statute. So I'm wondering if that is why they're saying they can't release anything to anybody in the committee, but they should be able to allow the committee to contact. I don't see what would prevent anything in here that would prevent anybody in the committee to reach back over. Does that make sense?
Well, and I think Franchon and Casey's suggestion of just asking for the results from that survey should do it for us. I think that'll be a good way to kind of step around that and get to the info we need. If y'all think that's good.
No, I think that's a good step. I think it also would make sense to I'm just thinking like a quick little note. It doesn't have to be like an act of Congress, like nothing crazy, but just kind of saying to people, and maybe from one of you. So it's from like a school email address or I don't know how the best way to do it is, like some sort of captivating line to get people to at least read it, to understand that there is people trying to support them, because there are people who are super busy and have no idea what we're doing and don't watch the live stream and don't watch the update videos. And
Right.
I just want those people to know that there are a group of people that are actively trying to support them. And I just feel like it's not that big of a deal to try to get that information to them.
I feel like one of us could send the email and it could be like a video clip of you. Because you got like the, passion behind this particular topic, but it could sort of say, we know you filled out this initial survey, so now we're kind of following up and we're exploring how we might better support educators of color, individuals with mental health or physical disabilities, and all kinds of different like areas that people might feel like, yeah, that's meaningful to me. And
I like your idea of trying to include other people. It's just that everything with this whole group takes literally months to do. So if we're going to include other people, to me, that means what I hear is maybe 2021 we'll send out the email. So it's not that I don't want to include other populations or other things, because I completely agree with you. But I know there are people in New Hanover County Schools that don't know that there is a licensed trauma therapist that would love to meet with them and provide support to them. Like, they don't know that that's a thing. And I can't just say that publicly, because my doors will be like a free for all. And I can't afford to do that. So that's why I'm trying to figure out a way to just communicate to people like, hey, there's a little group of people that want to provide support and want to keep you guys here because we value you. That's all I want to say. I just feel like it's extra hard.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of a video of like, we could come up with a rough script. I do not well with word for word script, but like a rough script of like, this is what we're looking for. And we could even have like the bullet points. Like, are you a teacher of color? Are you a member of the LGBTQ community? Do you want to like, and then the last thing would be like, we just want to support you. Please reach out to us.
Yeah, I think Dr. Smith is really, really good at doing these things, as far as like being able to navigate whatever you call it, the geography that is New Hanover County's schools.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if you just, draft up and say, hey, Dr. Smith, this is exactly what I want to send out. And then she can send it out to all district, or, however you want to look like that. But I agree that whatever you want it to look like. So probably from Deb Trafton, because she's kind of with HR now, but maybe Casey, I agree. We should send that survey out one more time with something that's a little bit more catchy. I'd have to go back and look. So then we can take what we got from group 1, what we got from group 2, put it together.
Right.
Well,
right.
Now that you say that,
I think this way we're approaching it from multi angles.
Yeah. And now that you say that, because for a second I was thinking, well, now it's two different things, but really I think when you send out the survey a second time would be the time you want Fran Sean on the video to say, hey, I am one of the people on this committee. This is where this is coming from, and here's why we're sending you this survey. So thank you for completing it, but also, well, if it were going to all district, then it would be thank you if you already have completed it, but the intent is that the community wants educators who are members of marginalized groups to feel supported. And that's all there is to it. And so it kind of it establishes some purpose behind it besides just what's in the text itself.
Right. And I feel like people are not, because, I know when I get emails from any institution, it doesn't matter what it is, I'm like, okay, I don't have time for that. If it doesn't feel like it's something that I need to do right now, chances are I'm not filling it out.
True that.
And it's summer for teachers, right? Aren't y'all like trying to not be bothered by people?
We're trying to figure out how we're going back to school.
I was gonna say this is
what I'm saying. Like, you're too busy and
I have no comment on that. Yeah.
I was about to say, Miss Estep, I do not envy you guys on the board at all. I appreciate you, but I do not envy you at all.
It is not an easy space to be in right now. But
No.
Really, the senior staff, I totally feel for them. I meant what I said. They're in such a hard place, and Dr. Burns has been amazing trying to walk through it, because it doesn't matter what you do, it's bad. It's just somebody doesn't like
Yeah.
you, somebody doesn't like what you do, what you put out, what you've said, what you haven't said. And it's just not,
Yeah.
it's not easy. So you just have to keep walking.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for your leadership because, again, not an easy road to travel for anybody. So,
Well, thank you for being a teacher because that's not easy either. What you're thinking about, and no matter what road we go, it's not going to be pleasant for anyone. But
I was about to say, our school motto at Alderman is "Together we shine," and that has never been more true than this year. So our principal did good with that 3 years ago for it being our motto.
Next term.
Yeah. Casey, were you able to find that document? The update,
the spreadsheet.
Yeah. Would you mind just being a transcriber for now, and then maybe next time we'll distribute that out to someone else if that's okay.
I got you.
Thank you, because you do very well with that versus me. It's just not my forte right now. Oof. Trying to lead that professional development last week, my heart was palpitating because I'm like, I should not be the one doing this, but Dr. Smith said do it. So I was like, okay. Yeah, so we have an update kind of on where we stand with HR. So I don't know if we would need to list this as a new short-term goal, maybe the affinity group. Maybe just something real quick, like as a short-term goal, maybe just saying establishing an affinity group to support various teachers.
For some reason, I thought it was on there, but maybe I'm wrong.
It might.
I'm wondering if it's under an action step related to one of the goals over here.
Yeah, it could be. I know we specifically talked about the recruitment of teachers. I know that is certainly one of them, but the retainment piece that you're speaking to, which is equally, if not more important, I don't know if that was specific.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe it wasn't. I know we've been talking about it, but right.
Yeah.
Would it fall under this?
No, because I think I agree with Tyler that retaining is different than recruiting.
So hear me out. I don't know if it's this simple. Can we do recruit and retain, or do you guys think it's worth doing a separate goal that says retain? So can we say recruit and retain staff from underrepresented groups?
I think so, and it just is a matter of shifting an action or adding an action step.
Right. And with Franchon's passion, it's not going to just get lost in the muck. So we know that.
There's movements around that. Just so
yeah. So I think we'll be good there. And then, our update for this can just be, we're going to ask Tyler specifically, because I'll send the email. We'll ask Deb to send out that survey one more time. I'm going to CC Dr. Smith on it, hopefully to get a little more behind it.
So if we're going to use this, are you asking me to put that under here under action stuff? Like this is another thing that I sent you, Tyler. Like I feel strongly that we kind of need a little bit of time on our goals in general, not to skip around what we need to finalize right here, but because a lot of the goals that are in here, they have the subcommittee here, but the policies and procedures subcommittee no longer exists because the policy manual is being reviewed by the North Carolina Association of School Board. I think I got that right.
Yeah, that's right.
So
state board, yeah.
Yeah. So there's, it's worth looking at. And I distinctly remember the day that we worked on the spreadsheet. I'm pretty sure it was the last time before the pandemic. So I remember walking away going, being really excited because we were getting it all into one spot. But then I didn't think we were done. I thought okay, we're starting on these short-term and long-term goals. So I don't know if, we want to stick with what's there and work on what's there, or if we want to be sure that we have identified what all of the short and long-term goals are in relation to culture and climate. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to think for a second. Let's finish with this one real quick, and then let's take a look at our other goals. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Just so we can have one thing.
So do you want me to put that under action steps?
I would say under action steps, where you have the T, I would say, Franchon, I guess, could we say something like, yeah, that works. Yep, to follow up with,
Like that?
yes. And as the actual action, and will request that the survey be sent out again.
You want to do it with a video?
Franchon, that's your call.
Yeah, I'm down. I was trying to, because Casey said it better than I did. That's what I'm over here doing. I was writing down what she said. But like one of my first lines would probably be, we are trying to support marginalized educators. So I might just like kind of start a draft in like Franchon language, and then we can do a Google Doc and we can all just look at it to make sure I'm like hitting the high points. And then I'm happy to record it like on Zoom, but somebody's probably, it may need editing or not. I don't know. Probably not, but.
When you could even shoot it on your iPhone or, whatever phone you have or whatever. And then just, I mean, that's how I filmed my, the EDI update that we posted, when we were doing those. So it can be something real simple, that hopefully they can embed and send out. And then, sorry, let me, switch to that view. Okay. We'll request the survey be sent again with a video recording message, Franchon.
Are you guys, Casey, are you allowed to forward that survey to me, not to fill it out, so just so I can see it? Is that like a thing, just so I can see the questions?
I think I put it in the chat. This is it.
I'm just trying to get an idea of how long it is.
Oh yeah, okay, I'll scroll down.
Yeah.
It's got your school position, what brought you here, what keeps you here.
Oh yeah, we looked at this forever ago. I remember this now.
It's really getting at, the alma maters and recruiting contacts.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the alma maters is important because there is quite a strong presence for HBCUs in Wilmington. But as far as like newer members of the HBCU chapters, alumni chapters in the area, I'm not sure. But I think when you go to a lot of events, you kind of see that, especially among like Black fraternities and sororities as well. So maybe some of those connections can help. So
Right.
I'm glad they included that. But I guess the thing that from Franchon as well is that we still need to ask Deb about getting the information for educators of color, and because that's not really included in the survey. The survey sounds more like it's asking for those that would like to join the effort in recruiting and retaining. With me as a cis white male, I could respond and say, well, yes, I would love to help recruit teachers of color, but there's nothing, I am as WASP as they come. So,
I think it's twofold. Like we send out the survey, we asked to send out the survey again because it can't really hurt, I feel like.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
So we ask for the people that identify that they want to be a part of it, because they don't have to be a part of like EDI overall to be a part of helping support and retain. So I think that's an important step, and they've already done it. So we're not asking for a lot. And
Right.
then I think it's recording the video and sending out the video to the educators of color that they will not give us directly their information, but they can send it out.
Yes, so that's a great step. So where it says, we'll request a survey be sent out again with a video recording message, Franchon, we should separate those. So we'll say request the survey be sent out again. Because Franchon, are you talking about sending a separate message, correct? Directly to, okay. And then Franchon.
But I don't know how you're gonna know I don't know if just from that survey you're gonna know who to. You just want to send it to everyone that completed it and expressed interest.
No, so this is this it's two separate things. So we're asking that we're asking that the results of the survey that already went out be shared with us, and that the survey be sent out again, period. That's one action step. And then the next step would be to do a video recording that would go to the educators of color that they've already identified to us via a report. It just doesn't have names or emails on it. So what they're saying is that that's confidential information, so they can't give it to us, but they're asking permission if they can take an email that we send them and forward it to those people.
Yep. Thank you, Franchon, because that even cleared up a little bit for me as well. Perfect. Okay, cool. So those are some good, like, not easy next steps, but like we see what to do. And it is easy. It's not difficult. So yeah, we can knock that out. Okay, so action steps were good. Implementation.
I hate to interrupt, but I actually have another meeting at 6, so I'm going to have to run.
Okay.
But I appreciate all that y'all are doing, and yeah, I'll just keep going.
Thank you. Thanks for
all right.
being here.
Thank you. Yeah, and Casey, I'll talk to you on Thursday, right?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Thank you, Miss Estep. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's finish this one up so we have one complete thing done. Implementation timeline, I would say, since it's mostly emails, let's say by July 31st. So I would say by July 31st, 2020. I mean, that gives them 11 days to do something, I think, pretty simple. Like I said, I'll also CC Dr. Smith on it. So that should be good. That's us. Work group.
There are those two other things on there. Yeah, well, I mean, the top there is really about like kind of measuring. And then the other that we originally said was determining if the community conversations recognition initiative for educators of color still exists in order to use those educators for qualitative data about experience and culture in the school system. So do we want to keep that?
Yeah, I already did that step and checked in with the people that were doing it, and they said that they are currently not doing it. And I don't know if she has a list of the people, but basically it's not happening, and she has no plans of it happening. She would be happy to partner with us to do something, but right now that's perfect. It's just
that's Rebecca, right?
Yeah. So she's doing community conversations, but not for educators. Like she did one event that was for teachers of color, and there was some response. Like there were some people that came, but it was one event. It wasn't like the sole curriculum. Like we thought it was something else. And I touched base with her, and she said that it's not active right now, and there's not necessarily, like that's not where her focus is. So if we were to start it up again, it would be a whole nother conversation about how to start it up. It's basically what we're doing already. I just wanted to make sure, because Karen brought it up that she was doing it. I just want to make sure that she wasn't doing something, because we do that a lot in Wilmington. We like overlap, duplicate services.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she's not doing it right now. So we're good to go. And she knows that it's something that I'm on the committee and it's something that we want to do. So I asked her that if she starts up again, that we be a part of it, like it'd be a collaborative effort instead of a bunch of separate people.
Good call. As far as NHCS contact, is Susan Steller still with the district? Why do I feel like she retired?
Someone's knocking on my door. I think she did retire.
Okay. Well, you can go check your door real quick here if you need to.
I'm trying to mute.
Okay. Okay, cool. So, Franchon, when she gets back, we'll update that, because we'll include Scott Hall in on this one since he's kind of handling it. Basically, he just seems like a data cruncher from what I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But, so I apologize if I didn't. I thought I asked what we needed to ask. I don't know.
I read your email again just to make sure I wasn't like making it up, and I thought you were clear. And then I went through all of those different, because I'm like, the first time I looked at it, you sent it to me, I was on my phone. So I was like, oh, I'm probably just not seeing it correctly. So I waited and I looked at it on a whole big computer and blew it up. And I was like, before I send this email, let me make sure that the names are not in there, but they're not.
Yeah, they're not. And I imagine, I mean, with that board policy, and I'm sure they're probably super strict right now because HR is going through, they're going through a big different.
And they don't have a
leadership.
person like ahead of HR either.
Not now. And the one that was intern is not there right now. So they have a different intern for right now until they make that hiring decision. So Casey, what we were saying is if under where it says NHCS contact, if you will leave Deb Trafton, but where it says Susan Sellers, change that to Scott Hall. And it's 2 T's.
Oops, thank you.
And I can tell you he's not classified staff. I would say, let me go look here because he's got his thing. HR systems specialist.
Now, is he one that's interim, or did y'all already talk about that?
No, he's not interim. So his job basically is to keep up with HR, like to keep up with demographics of all our employees is what I basically understand. So we got that information needed, need demographic data,
I feel like I have a very relevant thing right here. Because since you said that about him, are y'all familiar with the Latino Alliance?
At UNCW? I'm familiar with that Latino Alliance.
Well, yeah, it's sort of, I guess you could say led out of there, but it's volunteer network across the southeastern North Carolina. And they've been meeting regularly with New Hanover County Schools leadership ever since the pandemic started. And this last week, I've attended when I can. And this last week, they specifically said, are y'all going back to the EDI committee and kind of sharing the results of what we discussed? There's a lot in there. They cover a whole lot in an hour each time. And one of the things is just, do we know who our employees are that are bilingual or multilingual, and having like a list of that. So similar to what you're talking about, Franchon, except being able to know who within our system has the capacity, to communicate in more than one language. And I'll send you guys the minutes, or I could even like plug them in here somewhere. But it just popped in my head because you said he would be the guy. And I know that was a very specific ask the last time and this most recent time is there a list? Can we get a list? And it's kind of like that survey. If you didn't have a list that you could access, you could easily ask people.
Yeah. Okay. So I will work on that email and hopefully that'll help clear some things up. So is there anything else we needed to do? Casey, you had said something before your door rang. You said, is there something else within this call or within this row that we need to update? Just making sure.
Well, it looks like when we first started on this goal, we showed incremental increase over the long term, but that's not really very specific. I mean, that's where I go back to like the SMART of the SMART goal being really, all of those like kind of delineated.
Well, and I think maybe we need to take that out, like you said, just because we don't really have anything to base it on or measure it with yet. And
well, I think that report they gave us does have numbers in it. I didn't fully look at it, but I think it does have numbers in it.
It does, yeah.
I mean, that would give us a baseline at least.
Okay, so you think leave it in there and then just update it with the baseline data?
Yeah, because I think we need to at least, in case for whatever reason we're not here, that's the purpose of, doing all this documentation, is at least take some of that information and put it in here so we know, as of July 2020, this is what our numbers were.
Right. Okay, cool. So yeah, that should be pretty easy to update in there. Yeah. Casey, would you mind, and I know this is silly, but would you mind after we finish this, would you just reshare this document with me just so I have it at the top of my email tomorrow? And that way I can update with the report that we got from Deb and Scott. That'd be great. Yeah, so I think we're pretty good with this goal. I mean, with the way things are going now, I think we just let's stick with this for right now and do it well. And, that'll rely heavily on Franchon and I, but I think that's fine. And once I think, I mean, it's really hard to move anywhere until we get info from HR because, you know, it's like Franchon said, we can't just go and look at every single school and try to find oh, I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
that
there's not
person.
even pictures. I was gonna do it. We're gonna go. We're gonna go.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
All right. I got the opportunity to be a part of both breakout groups, and of course, it was just incredible discussion in both. So what we've got is just probably about 20, 24, 25 minutes left. So I'd love for each group to maybe take about 8 minutes to maybe summarize and talk about next steps.
So for school culture and community, and Casey and Franchon, please feel free to jump in at any moment or interrupt me if I say something that's not correct. But thank you, Casey. So yeah, we are still working towards the goal of recruiting, but now we've also added in retaining staff from unrepresented populations. So that can look like along lines of Black educators, other educators of color, LGBTQ plus, those that may identify as feeling unrepresented or maybe unsupported within the district. So we want to work on retaining them. Of course, we're still working on the recruitment piece as well. But so what we need from HR, and I've asked once and I got some data, but we're really looking for specifically, some survey results from the EDI survey that went out July 6th. And that's asked for those that would be interested in joining an affinity group, but it did not necessarily, thank you, Casey, it did not ask for what we needed it to ask for, which is we're trying to figure out basically who are our educators of color within the district and what we're going to do to get around, because basically I said board policy that says they can't give us that information. So what we're going to see what we can do is Franchon's going to record a short video. Franchon, if you want to talk about what's going to be in that video, I'll let you go ahead because I don't want to put words in your mouth. You got to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I was like, I think I'm on mute. So it's just going to be a short video. I'm going to introduce myself, say that I'm a part of the EDI committee, and say that we're trying to support marginalized educators and ask them to kind of self-identify and let us know if that's something that they would like to be a part of. And just let them know it's not something that is going to be extra work or an official position on the committee or anything like that. It's just an opportunity to kind of get together and talk and see what's going on and see if there's any additional supports that we can provide. So it's basically just an invitation, but we were thinking that since everybody gets so many emails and surveys and it's the summer and there's a pandemic, that, it might be better to do it in video format. So it's basically just an invitation in video format as opposed to an email.
And I love the idea of a video. I do. I really do. Great.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to do that to really try to work with that retainment piece as well, because, it doesn't make any sense to pour water in a bucket with a hole.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that we're filling a bucket, but also plugging the hole as well. So we're going to try to attack it from both ends. So our action steps for that specifically, because our committee is all about action steps. We want to make it as clear cut as possible. I'm going to email again and reach out to Deb and Scott and ask for one. We're going to ask for the results from the survey that went out. We're going to ask them to send out the survey a second time. And then we're going to follow up with that video recording from Franchon to disperse out to hopefully work on building that affinity group to make it, again, with the goal of retaining as well. The only other thing that we need to do for this subgroup is I just need to go in and under action steps at the top, I just need to add the baseline data from the report received from HR, which Scott and Deb have sent to me, and there's baseline data for certified staff. So, and we do want to be specific. We are talking about certified, not classified. For those that may not know the difference, certified would just be like your educators, your counselors, your psychologists, admin. versus classified would be your custodial workers, cafeteria workers, child nutrition, bus drivers, those things.
So
Equally as sorry, who's speaking?
sorry, I didn't mean to cut in.
Oh, go ahead.
I worry that it's important to get those certified, but teacher assistants are considered classified employees as well.
And you are too, right, Chris?
And I am too.
Okay. Well, that's an important. Okay, so yeah, I mean, maybe there's certainly, I don't think, any harm to opening it up to those other groups as well, I guess. Or do we want to specifically gear it towards teachers?
I would say, not my committee, but I would say broader, because I think there are, where we see a lot of our African American teachers come from, they may be tutors for us. So they may be licensed they may carry a license or
Okay.
4-year degree, but they're in a classified position right now. So they could be a state tutor or an after school
Gotcha.
worker. And so I would say broader rather than narrow.
So if we use
Okay.
the word educator, do we feel like, because I'm not in the school system, so I'm just asking, if we use the word educator and do not preface it with classified or certified, do we feel like that would meet who we're trying to meet? And I'm asking everybody.
I think it will, and that's actually the term that I use when I speak about those within the school system. So I'm not just saying teachers, because I'm not just including teachers, but everyone who works within the school system. I generalize as an educator. You have a role in the education of our students. So me personally, I prefer that term, and I feel that that encompasses those who are beyond just the in-classroom certified teachers.
Okay.
You could use educators and professionals.
Yeah.
Or
Everyone's a professional.
instructional staff.
I
Yep.
prefer the term too. I just would dare say some people may not view it as including themselves. So
That's why I was saying, like, district employees. I don't know if that adds to it, but then not, so I'm not sure. But I think professionals, I think educators and professionals, if we leave it at that, should hopefully make everyone feel included, I would hope.
Well, I mean, I think that's another reason of the video is my vibe is usually like, everybody come. So, I mean, I think because that was your idea. I mean, it's your idea to do the video, but I think it's great because I think when people actually see me, they'll be like, oh, so this is supposed to be something that's fun. I'm hoping that that's what's going to translate, is that we're not asking you to do more work. We're just asking you to come hang out with us and get some support.
Well, and let's be honest, like, the actual visual representation that it's a Black woman and not some white person that's trying to, that's important. Let's not negate that too. Like, that we're for real about this and want to make, concerted effort and not just, flap our jaws again.
Yeah, so I'm going to say educators and professionals. I think that, and I'm comfortable with that language. That's something I would naturally say anyway. So I think it will work, I hope.
Cool. And I think as far as Casey can correct me if I'm wrong, or Franchon, I think this is basically, we cleaned this up some. So to really hone in on this goal, as far as the recruitment piece, that's really coming from an HR perspective. So we just got to get an update from them. I know they have restarted NAPSI, which is an association specifically for Black educators. And I know we've talked about the possibility of being able to recruit from HBCUs as far as like attending their recruitment fairs and education fairs. But of course, lovely COVID-19 has thrown that for a loop as well. So
what was I feel like there's something else that we can add in here that was discussed when the HR did share, and it had to do with moving classified staff into certified roles if they were interested.
Is it I was about to say pathways. Yep. So, which is something the district has had. It's actually not new, but they have reminded, I guess you could say, reminded the district of the pathways option, because correct me if I'm wrong, but they sent out an email, I believe, updating people about it. I believe. So letting people know that that's an option, which again is something that a lot of people did not know. I mean, I had no clue. And then, when Dr. Martin mentioned it again, I was like, oh, okay. Like makes sense.
I have
So
a
yeah.
question. I have a question about pathways. So, and this is from some information, and it might be dated now, but Patty Williams had mentioned, and I asked a similar question because special education teachers, we sometimes struggle with retention with those folks too. And I asked if there was, because they require more like education and certification, if there was a path, a path or a program to help people that are interested in kind of pursuing that. Is that active? Is that part of Pathways? Does anybody here know? Julie probably knows, if nobody here knows, but that's a kind of a link to that too, because a lot of people who are, support staff like aides and such may be interested in kind of pursuing that as a career.
So Jerry, if you don't mind recording that question, I can definitely ask it. I know of TAs who have become teachers in the past. I just don't know of, all the details along the way. And I know that the district has paid for practice tests for folks to get their licensure, but I'm not completely sure about exactly where we are now. But Jerry, if you'll record that question, I can ask it.
That was really the only goal that we got to.
No worries, no worries. Okay, Al, your committee?
Hey, everybody. Let me pull it up real quick. And I've talked so much. Does anybody from our group want to take over and speak, or do you want me to do so? I'm happy to do either, but I don't want to monopolize.
You're doing great, Al.
Okay, moving on.
How about
So I tried to capture some of our next steps in the document in red from tonight. So I'll just, and then you guys, wherever I miss, please fill in. But looking at our first SMART goal of ensuring enrollment at choice schools is reflective of the diversity of our community. We just talked about checking on what the lottery process looks like for students gaining access for pre-K and choice elementary schools, and then reviewing and tweaking policy to allow for increased diversity enrollment, and then also maybe focusing a little bit on recruitment efforts. I think Dr. Smith, you spoke to this in terms of, is it just enough to put an application up on the website or to send one home? I mean, that really just checks a box. We really need to really take a look at what those recruitment efforts look like to try to improve our diversity in our choice schools. And so that was really the same with pre-K and also our some of our choice schools as well, to make sure that we were looking at policy, tweaking that policy, and then also what does the recruitment efforts look like. And I'll stop there to see if I need anybody else to chime in terms of the conversation on basically pre-K and our choice elementary schools. Okay, hearing nothing. Moving on to our next SMART goal was the training piece, implicit bias training, and making sure our employees are trained. And we spoke a little bit about the importance of that. Feel good about our progress here, and just want to make sure that we are also keeping in mind, just because we've made progress here, we need to make sure that this is not just a one and done. Making sure that we continue the process as we go forward with new staff, new teachers to the profession, new staff that we've hired, as well as continuing the training for our existing staff. And so it sounds like that there are some preliminary plans that are being made, and vendors are being contacted to make sure that we continue this. Anything else I need to hit on there from the group? Did I miss anything? Okay.
Nope.
All right. Also, in our next SMART goal, effective identify effective and ineffective strategies for community or family engagement, planning for marketing and public relations. Sean talked a little bit about the possibility of bringing in the new, and hopefully I get this right, the new Chief Equity Officer at GE. Is that correct?
Chief Diversity Officer, but
Chief Diversity Officer. Thank you.
he's in charge of equity as well.
So Sean has already kind of planted a seed and has explained what we're doing here in the district. And
Could I make a recommendation?
Sure.
So Danielle Roseborough at UNCW was just promoted to Chief Equity Officer. That, I believe theirs is equity. So she might be a good one to reach out to as well. And her daughter goes to
Murray, I think.
Murray now, yeah. So yeah, because she was in 5th grade last year. But I think she would be willing to help extend an invite too as well.
Definitely, I agree as well, Tyler. And we know the county also has their new position that they created. So kind of monitoring their process and look at and see who's hired there and bringing them into our conversations as well.
And Dr. Roseborough would be great because, I mean, she's directly in Watson. And, I mean, we've got to identify that as being one area. You know, we've got to work with what we have. And, we recruit so many of our teacher and admin from UNCW that, what are her thoughts behind trying to diversify UNCW's teacher trainers or training teachers, interns, and there we go.
So I guess, Casey, it sounds like they were listening to our conversation. So Casey and I had a little bit of an email exchange, I guess maybe even just a couple of days ago in regards to this. So I think, Sean, it's great to know that you guys have a diversity person over at GEE, and we'll definitely loop them in. But we were thinking maybe let the county hire their person, let Danielle get settled in her new role, and then kind of bring all the folks together, in kind of one fell swoop in our district. But it's nice to know that we've got some other folks we can reach out to. But it just made me smile, Casey, when I heard him talking about it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Tyler, because with Dr. Roseborough, you have like a huge opportunity within their Center for Diversity to really grow our own within the community. But then you also have that connection with Watson. And I just want the people here to know, like, I know early on, a lot of people we've spoken about Watson, we spoke about UNCW, and I know there's a lot of distrust in the community about their care capacity for contributing to the goals of our committee. And that was one of the reasons that I reached out to Dr. Smith, early on, just to kind of say, like, from what my experience has been, like, everything I know about equity, I have learned at Watson College. So I want to figure out a way to bridge that misunderstanding, but also, kind of help to hold Watson accountable to partner with us and set those goals. So I agree with everybody on multiple opportunities for partnership. That's going to be a really exciting meeting.
Yeah.
In some capacity, could we reach out to Sean Palmer as director of Upperman Center at UNCW?
That would be underneath her. Her role would be like his.
Oh, okay.
supervisor.
I know very little about Sean Palmer other than, just that he's involved with Upperman. And I know, my brother-in-law is going to start his internship at Upperman. So I'm just trying to think of where can we pull from within the community that's working towards the same things that we're working towards. So.
Thank you guys for adding that. And so I've captured a little bit of that in the notes, looking at the possibilities to look at the New Hanover County position and the UNCW position to make sure that we've included them. Chris brought up the partnership and the meetings that we've been having with the Latino Alliance, and that they're occurring up until this point on a monthly basis. So thanks for that, Chris. Moving on to the next SMART goal. We talked about SEL curriculums, and we were able to identify and actually show a little progress here. We have our K-8 program solidified. So at the elementary school, that's Sanford Harmony, and then at the middle school level, that would be Second Step. So that is moving forward. We still are working on a 9/12 possibility, either utilizing some things that we already have in place or some other possible scenarios as well. But just some updates on that. And that is really scheduled for implementation this year, although some schools have already done some work around this. Casey, I think that you guys have done some of this over Myrtle Grove. Is that correct with the second step?
Yeah, yes, we use it, and we sort of use what's there and kind of mold, after we kind of hear from students, but definitely.
So y'all would be in year 2, where everybody else I think would be roughly year 1. And the same thing with the elementary. I think some people are further along than others, but definitely implementation there. And then finally, just looking at, and we really didn't talk about this, but I added this in because it was from conversation from above, really just talking about analyzing offerings and enrollment demographics of our advanced coursework, STEM courses, but also our specialty programs. So although we did not get to this, this would be very similar, in my opinion, to what we talked about earlier in the document. So Dr. Smith, that's our update.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you to both groups. I appreciate you capturing that information in that shared document so that we'll have that as our starting point. And our next meeting will not be focused on the breakout. It will be a full agenda, and definitely send me suggestions for how to build that out. And then our following meeting will go back into our work group. So there'll be you'll have this opportunity to do this work again in about a month's time. And hopefully now that we've got some systems and some organization, Rachel's going to be presenting to our work group this Thursday. We can start to see the momentum behind our work and the evidence of our work, even in the midst of everything that we're doing. So guys, I thank you for the time that you've given to this tonight. I thank you for the time that you've given to this just throughout the process. Every time I walk away learning something new, it's just feeling renewed and recommitted to this work. And I hope all of you have a great evening. And also, please drop some feedback in the chat, things that we need to do different, things that we can continue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you, Dr. Smith.